What's up, guys? What have I been doing to spend time in this quarantine? Well, I'm looking forward to going back to our normal routine in presential classes. But in the meantime, I've been recording some videos to you. And today's video is about a very nice topic. I love to go off about it in my class. And it's about the difference between as and like. Do you know it? Well, if you don't, this video will be a way to clear it out for you. As and like are prepositions. The preposition as and like have different meanings. As means in the role of, while like means similar to, in the same way as. In order to illustrate the meanings of these words, I'm providing you with a few examples. As your father, I'll help you as much as I can. In this sentence, the speaker is the listener's father. On the other hand, in the following sentence, like your father, I'll help you as much as I can, the speaker is not the father but wishes to act in a similar way to the father. Now, I'll talk about the different uses. I mean, when it's possible to use one and not possible to use the other. We use like but not as to compare two things. Like, she's got a headache like me, and not she's got a headache as me, right? When comparing the appearance or behavior, we also use like and not as. That house looks like a castle, and not that house looks as a castle. As is more commonly used to talk about jobs. For instance, he worked for a long time as a teacher in Africa. As is indicating, is pointing out his role, his occupation as a teacher. We don't normally say like a teacher in Africa, right? Because that wouldn't be his real occupation. The conjunctions as and like have the same meaning when used in comparisons. Like is a little more informal. I am reading some examples from the Cambridge Dictionary, but I must partially disagree with this, right? I remember I used to have one of those Oxford grammar books, and it had more clearer examples about the uses of like and as. And here it says, for example, you must not compare two things. What kind of things you mustn't compare? I remember that book said that when you have object pronouns, for example, we should use like me, like you, like her, like him, right? When comparing, right? Remember, as is in the role of. And when you have demonstrative pronouns, like this, like that, like those. But when to use as is indicated to be used when you have a subject and the verb. Like here, the example Cambridge is bringing to us is, nobody understands him as I do. Nobody understands him like I do. In spoken language, you're more likely to hear, nobody understands him like I do. But according to the English grammar, this is wrong, right? Nobody understands him as I do. Why is it wrong? Because after the conjunction, you have a subject and the verb. Do you remember that song by Ellie Goulding, Love Me Like You Do? So, according to the English grammar, we should say love me as you do, right? Because you have a subject and the verb. It makes more sense to us when we understand the uses of the conjunctions as if and as though when compared to like. So as if and as though are conjunctions. We use as if and as though to make comparisons. They have a similar meaning. We use as if and as though to talk about an imaginary situation or a situation that may not be true, but that is likely or possible. As if is more common than as though. Pay attention to the examples. The floods were rising and it was as if it was the end of the world. It wasn't the end of the world, but this is just a comparison, a metaphor, right? It looks as though you've not met before. They have met before, but it doesn't look like. We can use both as if and as though followed by a non-finite clause or preposition phrase. She moved her lips as if to smile. They were shouting as though in panic. So wow, this is a different use, isn't it? And interesting. As if and as though commonly follow the verbs feel and look. She felt as if all her worries had gone. They felt as though they had been given the wrong information. But you have to be very careful when using this, because you can say feel like and feel as if. For example, she feels like a happy person today, right? And she feels as if she were happy today, right? Notice that in the first example we don't have a subject and a verb. We have like a happy person, adjective plus noun. But the second example has a subject and the verb. As if she were very happy, right? As if she were. Then you might be wondering, why were? Isn't the conjugation I was, you were, he was, she was? Why is this crazy teacher using were? Because according to the English grammar, when you're talking hypothetically, you can use the conjugation were for all the subjects. You can say I were, you were, they were, she were, right? That's why you have that song, If I Were a Boy by Beyonce. In informal English, like can be used in a similar way to as if, though it's not always considered correct in formal contexts. With this one, I totally agree. I felt like it could snow at any minute. This is something I wouldn't say, because my teacher was very picky towards this rule. So it felt like it could. It doesn't sound well because you have it could, a verb, a subject, and the verb. So I would rather use it felt as though it could snow. It felt as if it could snow at any minute. So just to sum up, what you have to bear in mind after this video is as in the role of, like similar to, in the same way. But when comparing like with most of the cases, like pronouns, nouns, adjectives, and as if, and as though, when you have a verb and a subject, or the other way around, right? The subject and the verb. Just to finalize now, I think I didn't explain the difference between as and as if. Oh no, I did. I said as if and as though are related to an imaginary situation or a situation that may not be true, but that is likely or possible. While as is about a fact, right? It's not imaginary, it's not hypothetical, right? So I think it's good to gather all this information you've just had contact with and practice it in the hyperlink I'll provide you with here in the description of the video, right? So please do it. It's a very complex content. It's a W8 video, right? So if you have any doubts, or if you feel as though you're not able to do it, you can leave a comment here and I'll help you out promptly, right? So see you next video, and stay tuned.